Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Alex Wong, and welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be going over the top 5 cold email verification tools that you should be using before you launch your campaigns. Now, this is in an effort to make sure that we have the lowest bounce rate possible, ultimately preventing your account from hitting the spam box. Now, if you're not already familiar with what SMTP verification is, it is very, very simple. A lot of these tools, when you export from like Apollo, ZoomInfo, or things like that, will claim that they have verified and valid emails, but things change over time. The data significantly deteriorates as time goes on, and that causes you to have inaccurate data. So anytime that you scrape a list, you always want to make sure you verify it beforehand and have that ready to go. Now, what happens is when you verify it, how it works is you upload a list of emails to the platform, and they normally get charged as credits, and you use your credits to verify said email. Now, when you verify the email, it will come back as a couple different things. You'll have valid, which means that they exist, they're being paid for, and they're ready to go and to be sent to. You're also going to have risky, which means they could or could not exist, and this is typically done through a concept called catch-all. And what catch-all is, if you're not familiar, is a setting that you could turn on inside your email address so you can receive emails to your domain from any type of user. So if I were to email nikon@dulce.io, I would actually get that in my main inbox. But let's say if you're trying to address it to Nikon, it would be to me, right? Which wouldn't make quite sense. So that's why it's a little bit troubling, and it's presented to you as a risky. Now, when you want to validate risky emails, it's a little bit of a different process than standard SMTP, and I will showcase to you that in a different video, which will be made in the future. I'm going to be dropping it in the description down below once that is made. Now, last one is going to be invalid. Invalid meaning that these emails are being paid for, they don't exist, and they will bounce if you send to them. All right. So today we're going to be comparing these 5 tools, the most popular ones in the market, and we're going to be going over 5 different data points as well that's going to help us make our decision to which one's best. And if you stick around to the end, I will showcase to you which one personally we use inside of Dulce in our day-to-day operations. Now, the things that we're going to be testing today is going to be the accuracy. We want to make sure that they are valid and accurate and good to send to. We want to make sure that it has a good speed. I don't want to wait around forever for my list to finish. We want to make sure that the pricing model is valid and makes the most financial sense, especially at scale. And then we also want to make sure we can integrate it to our different tools if need be for future purposes, and the customer support must be good as well. All right, so without further ado, let's get right into it. So, the 5 tools that we're going to be going over today. First one up, we have Emailable, which is renowned as the most accurate email platform with the fastest time as well. So, next one up is NeverBounce. This one is by ZoomInfo, of course. So, they have a platform here and you can validate for free. And next one up is going to be Million Verifier. This is going to be a straight email verifier, no bells and whistles afterwards. As you'll see, a couple of these will have some bells and whistles. So you'll see that I believe it's here in Zero Bounce. They have a couple other different things that you could get, like email scoring, DMARC monitoring, but we'll go over all that in just a sec. So Zero Bounce is another one we'll be testing today, and the last one will be Bouncier. All right, so let's get into this. So I broke this down here into a little comparison table for you. After this, I'll briefly go over each one in a little bit more detail. You can check this document down below in the description, and we'll go over each portion here, all right? So specifically here, we want to find a good balance between pricing and speed and accuracy, right? That's ultimately the 3 main heavily weighted things that you were looking for. Now, most of these tools claim a 99.5% and above, or 99% and above accuracy. So out of 1,000 emails, 10 of them should bounce, really, if let's say they were all valid. Now, the actual numbers are a little bit below. So this is standard. This will vary depending on your list where you get it from and the quality, but 95, 96 actual, 93, 97 for Never Bounce, Million Verifier 93, 95, Zero Bounce 96, 98, and Bouncier about 97. All right. So when you upload a list, it'll come at a little bit less, right? Which this could be, a couple 10 or 100, depending on where it comes from. But majority of the time, they are very good. Now let's talk about the speed. We tested this for 1,000 emails, right? Emailable claims they're the fastest, and it came in just about 5 minutes. NeverBounce took the longest at about 10. Million Verifier is about 7 minutes. Zero Bounce is about 8 minutes. And Bouncier is about 5 minutes. So Emailable and Bouncier coming in at the fastest time. Million Verifier and Zero Bounce smack in the middle. and NeverBounce taking the longest. Now, to be fair, this is also a direct startup. So what happens is a lot of times you can't just upload 1,000 emails and expect it to verify all of them immediately and give you an answer. Typically, it's like getting started, and it starts trickling them in, and then you'll have a couple emails at the end that trip up and take a little bit more time than the others. Now, if I were to do 2,000 emails, would Emailable be 10 minutes? No. If I were to do 2,000 emails, Emailable would most likely be 6 or 7 minutes, right? Million Verifier, same thing, would be like 7, 8. And the reason why is, again, just initiating that startup in mind. Emailable claims that you could actually process at, the big scales, about 30,000 emails a minute. Now for pricing. Let's talk about per the 1,000. Now, most of these tools work in this fashion. So they all have a pay-as-you-go and subscription basis model. So with the pay-as-you-go, you can just buy credits as need be. And if you are paying monthly, then you get a little bit of a discount. How this breaks down is as so. So Emailable, they come in about $7.06 on their cheapest plan and drops to about $4.20 at 100K. Now, they do offer 15% discount with subscription. NeverBounce, so they're actually going to come in at $8 for the base 1,000 and drops to about $4 per 100K. And they offer the biggest monthly discount. So like, for example, here, if I go to a 100K emails, you'll see it's $400 for 100K. If I go down to 100K on the monthly, it is $159. So big price difference on the plans. Million Verifier will come in at our cheapest by a significant margin. Million Verifier starts off at 10,000 emails for $39, meaning you'll get 1,000 emails for about $3.90. Now, when you get up to 100K, they get even cheaper at about $149 for a 100K. For Zero Bounce, they come in at the most expensive at about $10 per 1,000, as the least you could buy is $20 here. Now, they do also offer a similar 15% discount with subscription and drops to about $4.25 with 100K. Now, Bouncier, they are $8, so same as NeverBounce, and same thing drops to $4 for 100K, so neck and neck. And they have a 20% discount with subscription. So that being said, a lot of these tools actually end up like maxing out at around 1 million credits or 2 million credits or so. So you'll see as a lot of these prices go up. For example, let's just do NeverBounce, $4,000 for 2 million credits. Now, Million Verifiers, I would say the one that stands out from the rest here. So if I do million credits on Emailable, it's 2.1K. It's 2K on Bouncier. If I do it over here on NeverBounce, 2.5K. If I do Zero Bounce, it's 2.7. Million Verifier for 1,000 emails comes in at $449. So you can see at scale here, they're already beating the rest of the competition just in terms of sheer pricing alone. But we'll get into that later. So next portion here is integrations. Integrations are how many tools can you connect with said platform. So a lot of these, as you go down and see, you'll see that they have integrations with a lot of different platforms. This could be certain ones as like MailChimp or certain cold email senders or just overall a bunch of different tools. Whatever your use case is, they will have a connection for it, right? Now, most of them have more than others, so let's talk about those. So for Emailable, you have 50 plus native platform integrations. It's also on Zapier. You do have a robust API documentation as well for if you want to code and create your own things. Now, for NeverBounce, they come in at the most. You have 80 plus native integrations. There is also Zapier, and you also have an extensive API and documentation. Million Verifier is going to come in at the bottom here with 17 native integrations and just a basic API that they have set up. Zero Bounce, 40 plus native integrations, Zapier, powerful API. And Bouncier has the least amount of native integrations, but their biggest strong suit is they have a Zapier and a clear API. As far as support goes, Emailable has a 24/7 live chat and email, rated 4.8 stars on G2. NeverBounce has a 24/7 chat, email, and phone support, which are very responsive. Million Verifier, once again, coming here at the bottom, email and chat support only, typically sometimes taking up to 48 to 72 hours. Zero Bounce does also have a 24/7 chat support and email, and Bouncier has email and chat support, right? So with all these metrics in mind, which one is exactly the best? Which one is the one that we're going to want to use? Let's talk about the individual strengths. I'm just going to use these as a high-level overview, and at the end, we'll tell you which one we're using right now. So Emailable is renowned to be the fastest, right? Claiming that they can do 30K emails a minute. They have extensive integrations, 24/7 support, solid accuracy, and they have compliance certifications. Now, the trade-offs to consider is you're going to have a little bit more of that accuracy gap. You'll have a not so good volume discount, and their pricing is a little more expensive. So once again, if you are trying to do cold email, and let's say you're sending 500,000 cold emails a month, you want to price it into, do you really want to pay $1,300 per month for that? Okay. Now again, if you're doing it just for yourself and just for your agency, you could most likely get away with a couple $100 or so. But I'm going to show you guys how you could get that for way down later. Now, Never Bounce. They do have their aggressive pricing that drops down when you get the subscriptions, right? Way cheaper. They also have the most integrations. Now, they've claimed to handle about 1 million emails in 6 hours. So if you upload 1 million emails, that's how long it would take to get that back. They have multi-channel support, and they also offer you 1,000 free credit trial. Now, once again, they do have slightly lower accuracy, and this mostly comes from difficult enterprise and catch-all domains. So as the accuracy just goes across the table, it's not just valids we're taking into account, right? I just used that as an overall example before to make it easy, but as we're breaking this down now individually, we want to make sure that it can also properly identify these catch-all addresses as well. Now, they also have just core verification, so they don't have any additional deliverability analytics or spam trap detection tools, and it also has peak load potential. So since it's one of the most widely used services, it's going to sometimes be a little slow, just depending on when those times come up, really. So next one up is Million Verifier. As I mentioned to you before, they have the ultra low pricing, which just makes it so easy for if you're like a small to medium business who have a tight budget, who just needs good enough validation to get started. All these tools really have credits that never expire. Now, Million Verifier, as far as I know, actually does come with a money back guarantee. So meaning if you have a list, right, that bounces more than, I believe their metric, if you look at their terms and services down here, is about 4%. Yeah, right here. Within 7 days of valid verification and your hard bounce rate's more than 4%, we will refund your last payment. All right. So they do have their other stipulations down here, but ultimately you have that safety net just in case, right? Which I've never really had to come to that, but that's just in case. Now, transparent pricing. There's no hidden fees and you have full access of everything. Now, again, the trade-offs to consider is you do have slightly lower accuracy, you will have slower support, you'll have the fewest level of integrations, and limited advanced features. So they have no other additional tools, right? So depending on your use case, that could be a make or break for you. Now, number 4 is Zero Bounce, right? They have a renowned higher accuracy than a lot of the other tools. They have a very comprehensive platform, meaning that you have access to so many other different things that I was showcasing you before. They actually have their own warm-up pool, email finder, test email deliverability, blacklist monitor, DMARC monitoring, email scoring, email activity data, and so many other things you could hook your tools up for. They're enterprise grade, so they do have multiple certifications as well. They do have a robust support that you could contact anytime, and plentiful amounts of integrations. Now, the trade-off to consider is that they do come... All that stuff comes with a price tag, right, for your credits. Now, moderate speed is they're not the fastest. From recorded numbers, they would take around 45 minutes for 100K, and sometimes up there could take a little bit longer, right? And they also have a higher unknown rate. I had someone express this to me, and I looked into it, that they typically have a conservative approach and marks uncertain emails as unknown, right, which will result in a little bit less valid, but that's how they maintain that higher accuracy rate, because they're marking those as unknown, which to protect you from going to spam, right? And that's why, and the video down below that we'll talk about later has those advanced verification options. Now, the last portion here is Bouncier. Bouncier will come in at a higher accuracy rate. They do have other tools as well. Outstanding support, which is very helpful support team. Fair pricing. It's again, if you see all these, they're really just neck and neck with each other, really about 760, 8, 10. So without being an outlier, they're all relatively the same, just depending on exactly what is a make or break for you and what you need. And they do have a smaller integration ecosystem, which again, 16 native versus the 40 to 80 from others. And if that's a deal breaker for you. Now, speed and consistencies, I noticed even when I marked fast on some of the smaller lists, like the 1000, I've had people report to me that I reached out to saying that sometimes it took up to around 60 minutes for lists of 100K, right? So it might not always be the fastest, and I suppose that just goes back to one of those scenarios I said before, depending on the time and where you want to be to get there, right? Pause for just a moment, because let's be honest. Agency Ignition, my biggest project of 2025, is now released. And for limited time until January 31st, we're giving you 50% off for life. And you could get free access to 25 plus different scrapers like Built With, Store Leads, Clutch. So if you're looking for leads who need certain technologies, who are agencies, who have local businesses, who are recently funded, who are in Better Business Bureau, if there's a bad review or on socials, you could scrape that all for free with our tool. You also get 50 hours of course content, exclusive discounts of over $5,000 across 10 different tools, multi-million-dollar companies we partnered with like HeyReach, SendSpark, Email Guard, you name it, we have it. You also get 3 weekly group coaching calls and a community of lead gen experts in any niche. Now, on top of that, you get a bunch of plug and plays of cold email templates, sales calls, VSLs, landing pages, hiring AI employees, and tools such as company name formatting, cleaning job titles, breaking CSVs, deliverability testing, and exclusive access to the strategist community, 24/7 priority access to myself, and so much more, and everything from below. So if you want to be a little bit more conservative, we have a $197 plan that's on sale for $98. And you get base access to the community, 1 coaching call per week, base access to the curriculum, access to all of our partnerships, access to limited time deals from our team, personal help to your scripts and deliverability, and hundreds of people who are running a business just like you who are open to helping you out. So the choice is yours. Until January 31st, 50% off. If you hate it that much, listen, I'll give you a refund, no questions asked, there's no minimum commitment. If you like it, well, you have all the tools, all the discounts, and everything you need to succeed with cold outreach. All right, so now making your choice. Now, these are all just generic, in all honesty. So depending on what you need most is where these little pieces are going to come into play. But now to give you my answer on exactly what I would use, I'm giving the answer to Million Verifier. And the reason why Million Verifier takes the cake here is just sheer because of that pricing is just unbeatable. And especially when you run a lead gen agency and you cough up, let's say, 1 million emails a month, you're going to need to use all of those credits for verification, right? And you don't want to be breaking the bank with thousands and thousands of dollars. So Million Verifier is my go-to for that. Now, support-wise and things like that, I've had chats with the support actually only twice over like 4 years, in all honesty. So it wasn't a big main deal breaker for me. And they pretty much get back to me really quick. So it's never really been a huge problem with that. Now, integration-wise, I normally just use their API. It's basic, yes, but it gets the necessity done. If I want to validate a list through API, through NA-end, it works. And yes, it doesn't have a module, but it's not rocket science to figure out if you take 30 minutes to watch a video on how to use APIs and NAN and things like that. But as my overall opinion, I've never had lists take a substantial amount of time, and the accuracy has always been pretty good taking the valids. Now the catch-alls and riskies and invalids where things get a little bit dicey on their end and just experience-wise. But this is why we use a triple verification process, which check the video down below. That'll be posted in the future. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about there. But ultimately here, I figured them to be the best use case for a lead gen agency like ours. Now, I also pair this with Email Guard, so all of those deliverability statistics I don't really need off of my tool. So I just need it for straight email verification, and that helps me get the job done. So with that being said, that's everything that I really have to showcase for today. Check out all of them down below. Link is in the description. And if you don't have to worry about picking out what tool is right for you or scraping leads or now putting together the campaigns and things like that and just want the sales calls, well, then we should have a little chit chat. And if you're a B2B service-based business and you want to fill up your calendar, let's get a free audit on the calendar. We're the only agency right now that has a unified platform across email, LinkedIn, phone, and direct mail, giving you the highest possible chance to convert a cold prospect. We'll review your business, discuss acquisition strategies, and share the exact outreach ideas we'd use for you. Worst case scenario, you walk away with invaluable advice. Best case, we partner up and we fill your calendar with a series of new sales opportunities. See you guys in the next one.